Hello and welcome back to Aetheral Space 13.33, The Stretching Sky. We are back.
Yes, welcome. Let's jump right into it, shall we? Because I'm very excited.
Okay.
We'll just jump, unless you wanted to do a little intro.
No, I didn't have anything about I'm
fuck.
excited.
What was this guy's voice again?
Well, I always thought of him as Captain Picard.
So, said Jamie Pirot, what are your thoughts on the world to come? That's my phrase! I say world to come!
Oh,
Man,
wow.
he's just like me for real.
Really?
What
He's
are your-
just like, you're like him?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I
What
see.
are your thoughts on the world to come? This is literally like the shit I say constantly in the group chat. It's so funny. The man across from him steepled his fingers atop the desk, considering the question carefully. He was a severe-looking fellow, with pronounced cheekbones and icy blue eyes. Thick black eyebrows made him seem perpetually stern, and the tightness with which his dark hair was tied back into a ponytail didn't do much to help that profession. Profession? Impression?
Yeah, I don't know how refreshing came in.
Yes.
Usually I can sort of figure out what I was trying to say.
Guys, Tin Honey was a little bit eepy.
You can tell the deterioration of my mind across Aetheral Space.
Yes, even the business suit he wore was tailored to perfection, to exactitude. Was he a man who took pride in his appearance, or one who took pride in his precision? It was difficult to tell, and the prince was volunteering no guidance. In that case, it probably wasn't important. That's quite the question to open with, the man purred, especially when I'm the one who invited you here. What are your intentions, Captain? Forgive me, how do I pronounce the last name?
Jurong, I believe.
Shen Zhurong, the Lord Mayor of the city of Jinhua. He was part of the Unified Alliance of Planets' Central Governing Council, and one of the major players in that council, as a matter of fact. That soft power mainly stemmed from 3 factors. First, his political acumen. Before him, the Lord Mayor of Jinhua had been a position that had changed hands quickly. Usurpation had been common in the previous era of Jinhua, but since Huan had come to power...
Sorry.
What?
His name changed at some point there we go.
Oh. Since Zhurong had come to power, none had risen to oppose him. Or rather, those who had risen had not risen long. Did you realize that that was the same name as your Good Trouble character?
It wasn't.
He had to change it. Secondly, the breadth of the territory he controlled. Although the city of Jinhua was, of course, a city that was mainly a technicality born from an ancient contract. What?
Was, of course, a city. That was mainly a technicality.
That was mainly a technicality born from an ancient contract. In truth, the cityscape of Jinhua consisted of a staggering number of systems and planets, each considered a mere district in the territory. Independent planets like Kayapali and Talden also made contributions in exchange for Jinhua's support, increasing their wealth further. And thirdly, my husband asked you a question, said the man standing by the window, his arms crossed. Oh, is this a third guy?
Yeah, it's a third guy.
What's his voice?
Maybe a bit deeper, like this.
My husband asked you a question, said the third man standing by the window, his arms crossed. You'd do well to answer. He said no pickles. Oh shit, it's Nebula 1. Hold on, is this the guy who just spoke?
Yeah.
Nebula 1, Fei Long, commander of the Scarlet Parade, the supreme without supremacy, the thousand-fold knight, the last dragon, the hero, Angel Slayer, the strongest man of the UAP, Nebula of Jinhua. Oh, that goes so hard! I love the idea that, like, it dwarfs all the other titles for each Nebula. Did they each have this many?
They had one each.
Why does he have so many?
Because he's that guy.
Oh my god. Is he married to his councilman?
Yeah.
Oh, this guy is so in. He's the strongest and he has all the political power. Oh my goodness. Fei Long! I love this. Fei Long was a tall man, covered from head to toe in shining silver armor. Some kind of advanced chassis, Pirot assumed. The helmet had been sculpted to bear the snarling visage of a dragon, and the red visor glinted as it regarded Pirot. A crimson cape hung from his shoulders, granting him an undeniable sense of majesty. A knight indeed. Nebula 1, Fei Long, was known for his kind and virtuous nature, but from the tone of his voice it seemed Pirot had ended up on his bad side. My intentions? Pirot considered, stroking his beard. Well, I have to say that's an odd question to ask.
As you say, you're the one who invited me here.
I'm no fool, Captain, said Jurong.
I never said you were.
For the last few weeks, Jurong continued, leaning back in his seat, I've been doing all I can to muster our resources, organize our forces, prepare our defense. Our defense for the war we both know is coming.
You refer to the supremacy,
Pierrot nodded. The supremacy is the only true enemy we've ever had, Shen said. Anyone else we faced in comparison? Mere skirmishes. I dislike dramatism, but in my eyes, the supremacy is the root of all evil, and it's an evil that will be coming our way before long. Pierrot raised an eyebrow.
all evil?
That's a little absolutist, Lord Mayor. The supremacy is a travesty of a government, to be sure, but evil would exist with or without them. Again, all in comparison. I could bathe my hands in blood for 100 years, and in comparison to them, I would be pure and innocent. The next war against them is imminent. You know it, and I know it, and yet you've been blocking my efforts to prepare. I'd like an explanation.
Pierrot took a deep breath. I agree with you that the war is inevitable, but imminent? No, that's still in our hands.
How so? Jurong asked, his eyes half-lidded, open to being convinced. Oh, fuck, what was the prince's voice?
It would be the same as his voice.
Open to being convinced,
the prince whispered in its peculiar way, thoughts not Pierrot's own popping into his mind.
Playing up antipathy towards the supremacy, opposes them, but understands the necessity of a measured response. True purpose of this meeting is to gauge your character, acquiesce to a limited degree. Do not disclose existence of the prince. Fei Long is uncomfortable being rude to you, but is playing along at the request of his husband. Violence unlikely from him, barring exceptional trespass on your part. Currently, you are not in physical danger, only potential political danger.
Pierrot took a deep breath.
The next Supreme will need to quickly consolidate their authority when they ascend the throne. I will concede that.
Then you also concede that they'll perform that consolidation by declaring open war against us, capitalizing on the sentiments developed over the last century?
That's one outcome.
And what are the others? It was Pierrot's turn to lean forward, and it was Pierrot's turn to steeple his fingers on the desk. In some tiny way, the power in the conversation shifted over to him.
My ideal outcome, he said quietly, and the one I'm working to make happen, is for a particular candidate to ascend to the throne of Supreme. This individual is bound by a code of honor compatible with our needs, and will not act against us so long as he considers himself indebted. In short, whatever means he uses to consolidate power will not involve the declaration of war.
I love how their entire plan is this guy seems like an honor-head. Surely he would never betray us. He'll feel the life debt he owes us. Jurong raised a thick eyebrow. I've heard word that Nebulas 2 and 5 haven't been seen for some time. I take it they're acting as your agents, then? Working to make sure this candidate succeeds? 2 is Jamilu, and 5 is the funky guy, right? The brother of the ice lady? Okay.
Rufus,
Rufus, that's his name.
If they're doing anything,
Pierrot smiled.
It'd surely be at the request of their governments. I hardly have the...
This voice sucks for my throat.
It'd surely be at the request of their governments. I hardly have the authority to dispatch Nebula as my personal agents.
The smile on Pierrot's face was quickly mirrored by Shen. They were the same kind of animal, to be sure. They knew each other. You're a crafty old man, Captain, the Lord Mayor said. But enough games. Who's this candidate you've invested your hopes in? Pierrot opened his mouth to speak. A toy Muzazi, said Morgan Noct. He looked up at the building before them, the towering Gitarest Hotel. 500 stories of glass and steel, and on the inside the greatest comfort you could afford in the galaxy. Anxious sweat crawled down the back of his neck.
You think so?
Gregory Hazard asked.
I don't know if that was his voice.
What was his fucking voice then?
It was like this. It was kind of like this.
You voice 100 fucking characters.
Like, what? You asked me and I just fucking replied. Can you calm the fuck down, you little worm? You little rat. You burly human piece of filth.
Jesus.
Don't talk back to me.
Alright, you read Aetheral Space.
I don't want
got
to.
this.
No, I wrote it already.
Well, read it too. Now you hurt my feelings.
No, you hurt my feelings first.
How?
So, no, you questioned me.
Really sensitive anime villain. You started it.
He says like the smoking legs.
Yeah, he looks like pouting as he's like ripping your arm off.
He's like, Baka.
Tsundere anime villain?
He still does all the awful shit.
Yeah, he's just like, it's not like I care what you think about me.
It's like, you burned down my village. It's not like I want you to seek revenge, okay? Don't get the wrong idea.
You're just like one of many heroes I deal with.
It's not, I don't even care if you live on out of hatred towards me.
This is a great bit character. You should add this. Well, what was fucking Gregory's voice, then?
He's like this, he's kind of listless.
You think so? Gregory Hazard asked. Morgan nodded. I would say he wins against Mariloko, he replied. Every time. I've seen him fight, Gregory Hazard muttered, hands in his pockets as the two of them walked down the promenade. And I've seen Mariloko fight. Mariloko seems stronger. But Musashi wants it more, Morgan shot back. You can tell, and that's important. If you say so. But, Morgan winced, with all the tension of someone who is trying, more than anything else, to talk themselves into something. It doesn't matter if he'd win or not, if he doesn't make it to the fight. As things stand, it's unlikely that Musashi will be awake by tomorrow. Mariloko would win by default. Wouldn't be the first time, Gregory said. The Crown's got something similar going on. Well, they're never waking up, but still. Musashi pushed himself too hard in the last fight. Let it be a lesson to him. If the Crown's never waking up, maybe we put the Crown out of their misery?
I don't know if that's some sort
this
of
is just like
bracket.
indefinitely coma vegetable forever.
I think
Like it's what he
that's
would have
what
wanted
doctors-
as a competitor in the Dawn contests. They wheel him around at festivals. Morgan shook his head. If I were going to do that, I wouldn't have bothered coming here. I'm going to give the commander more time. Gregory just silently raised an eyebrow to that. No doubt he thought he was watching a suicide born of folly. He might not even have been wrong about that. Right now, Mariloko was occupying 3 entire floors. I assume floors?
Yeah.
This guy was so
Me
gone when he
hating
wrote
the
this.
hotel industry.
Mariloko was occupying 3 entire floors of the Gita Rest Hotel. He's just man-spreading through, like, different floors. One of many luxury establishments owned by Morgan's father. Morgan had pulled on that connection to get the information. The floors Mariloko was staying on, and the times he'd be present. It hadn't been the most comfortable conversation. Morgan hadn't spoken to his father since he'd transitioned. But he'd got what he needed. Oh! Oh! Casual lore drop?
Yeah.
Trans-knocked?
Yeah.
Based? Let's go, Morgan said, biting down the shaking of his voice. It was time to shamelessly beg. Oh dear. The sounds of squeaking exercise equipment echoed through the room, easily overpowering Morgan and Gregory's footsteps. Mariloko currently had free reign over 3 floors in the hotel, and one of them was this gym. Usually, this place would have been filled with guests working out or swimming in the neighboring pool. Now, however, it was empty, save for the man himself and his companion. The man from the past was lying down on the floor, lifting weights that dwarfed his own body. Although sweat poured down his form, his face was as stoic as ever. Morgan supposed that was no surprise. From what he'd seen of Mariloko so far, he couldn't imagine the man's expression changing, even if he were dealt a mortal blow. The woman from Halcyon Interstellar, Alicia Jane Marsden, saw them approaching first, and immediately stepped out of her position next to Mariloko to block Morgan and Gregory's path. She narrowed her eyes as she regarded the two of them. "Identify yourselves," she snapped. "She's strong." Morgan could tell. It was her stance, the way she positioned herself, the presence she commanded in the room. He supposed that was no surprise, either. Back in the day, Halcyon Interstellar had done a lot of poaching from the Special Officer exam. They had no shortage of powerful Aether users. Best to tell the truth here. Morgan opened his mouth to do so, but before he could, "What do you want?" asked Mariloko. The man was on his feet. Morgan hadn't seen him get up, nor discard the gargantuan set of weights that was now embedded in the floor. A shiver ran down Morgan's spine. If Mariloko had chosen to launch an attack at that moment, would Morgan even have noticed? Mariloko's eyes were dull and dark. Now Morgan was certain he'd be best off telling the truth. "My name is Morgan Noct," he began, but he didn't get any further than that. "I don't care what your name is," Mariloko said, dangerously quiet. "What do you want?" "I'm here on behalf of a Toy Musashi. I'd like to discuss delaying the match between you and him. There's a clause in the rules that allows it, but
We require your consent as his opponent. Why isn't he here himself? Morgan swallowed. He was injured badly in his previous match. He hasn't woken up yet, hence why we wish to delay. Mariloco did not blink. I don't. If he doesn't show up, I win. Go away. Morgan cleared his throat. If you were to win by default, surely that wouldn't be a victory you could be proud of. I don't give a shit about pride. Go away. With that, he turned and began to walk away. Panic flared through Morgan's mind. He was leaving. Convincing Mariloco was their only chance, and he'd fucked it up. If not for that panic, Morgan would never have done something as monumentally stupid as what he did next. No! He never would have stepped forward and recklessly shouted, Coward! Mariloco stopped. Mariloco looked back over his shoulder. Mariloco glared with eyes of stone. You sure? He muttered. Are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want to be here? Are you sure you want to die? If so, keep speaking. Morgan got the meaning, and Morgan ignored it. Oh no, Tan! Tan! Not Morgan! No! You're frightened, he insisted, trying unsuccessfully to stifle the trembling in his voice. You saw how Atoy Musashi performed in the last match, and you're scared the same will happen to you. That's why you don't want to fight him. Gregory quietly spoke up. Maybe. If I'm wrong, then prove it, Morgan roared. Right here and now! Agree to the delay and take on the full moon! Oh my god, Morgan, no! A tense silence settled over the room, save for Morgan's ragged breathing and the distant traffic outside. He couldn't help but notice that Gregory had taken a very tactful step away from him, making sure he wasn't caught in the range of Unchained, no doubt. However, the killing blow did not come. Instead, Mariloco just frowned. Why would you go so far for this man? He asked. Morgan met his gaze dead on. I'm his second in command. It's my job to go this far for him. Oh, ooh, I ship them. A little bit. The man from 200 years ago narrowed his eyes. Woman, he said, glancing at Alicia. Leave us. The other guy, too. Sir, I don't know if I'd advise... Leave us, Mariloco repeated, in a tone that brooked no arguments. Oh, Tan! Tan, surely he'll respect the courage. As Alicia carefully left the room, Morgan exchanged a glance with her. He was well aware of the current situation with Halcyon Interstellar. After the death of the CEO, they'd been divided on how to deal with Mariloco. One faction wanted to throw up their hands and dump him, while the other, which Alicia was part of, wanted to keep supporting him for the time being in hope of his favor once he became supreme. Even so, that faction was unstable, given Mariloco's propensity to do as he pleased. Morgan guessed that whatever Mariloco was about to do wouldn't help much with that either. They all stood there. They all stood still, until they finally heard the door close behind Alicia, leaving just Morgan, Gregory, and Mariloco himself. His gaze was inscrutable. So, Morgan finally spoke up. Mariloco interrupted without missing a beat, and his words were enough to turn Morgan's blood cold. Boy, I'm going to kill you now. If you're still alive in 5 minutes, I'll do as you say. No! We're gonna see Morgan's corpse hanging from a telephone pole like Persona 4.
No!
No! The last time you did this was like when Skipper was like, I'm gonna see how a minute works on a toy, and then he's like, he didn't even last 10 seconds. It was so sad. No, you can't kill Morgan off. I like Morgan. Oh man. Do you think Morgan could fix Musashi?
I don't know. They've been friends for 2 years, so does he seem fixed?
That's a good point. Okay, let's see what the Aether questions are this week. Alright, there's only one. It's how is Farball played, which I assume is the exact same as baseball.
It's similar, but there's more of a focus on how far the ball goes away from the game.
Is that like how far you're allowed to run?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you punt it, that's like frowned upon. They kill you.
Yeah.
Okay.
You'd be executed.
Are there ways to stop it? Because presumably, after a certain point of Aether, you can always reliably get the ball so far.
where you can knock it back. There's another guy with a bat on the other side.
Really?
In the back.
Oh, okay. So it's like a battle to see who gets
Yeah.
it past the other. Oh, that's kind of fun. Dueling baseball. Wait, that's actually really cool. You made it way cooler. What the fuck? They're just batting it back and forth at each other in a flurry of blows. Kid who wants to be a fireball player and he can't match the 10 swings per second.
Because he could have been a contender.
Alright, well thank you guys for watching and we'll see you next time.
Bye.